Welcome back to Traveling McGee. My name is Derek, and I am in the great state of North Carolina, getting ready to do a week-long kind of coastal excursion here down below the Outer Banks. I'm going to be exploring a state park, a couple coastal seaside towns, and of course a couple beaches, see if I can find any shells, so stick around. Well, good morning to you all. Like I said, I am down here in North Carolina, kind of exploring the coastline a little bit down below the Outer Banks. And right now, this is my first stop for this little series. I'm in Goose Creek State Park. This is in Beaufort County, North Carolina. Just realized I didn't have my glasses on. I camped here last night. I slept in a little bit, so I'm kind of a little half asleep. But yeah, so I'm here in Goose Creek State Park. It's a pretty small park, actually, but one of its main features is it borders this beautiful river here. This is the Pamlico River, and I believe I'm saying that right, but it extends all the way out there. This is Goose Creek, which the park is named for, which goes back that way, and then it goes all the way back up and around there. But it's kind of what this park is known for. It's kind of really close to this brackish river system here. It has a lot of aquatic activities. There is a canoeing trail that you can take. There are several hiking trails. Not many of them are long. I think if you were to do all of them, they total about 8 miles. But there's definitely some decent places to hike around. Yesterday, before I set up my campsite, I did the Live Oak Trail, and then I kind of made that into like a little circuit with a couple other connecting trails. There's also a trail that takes you to a small little swimming area, which has a nice sand beach. Not super huge, but definitely a cool place to cool off in the summer. And that's kind of a hub for a lot of the little hiking trails. So that's definitely a place to check out. The campground, so there's actually 2 campgrounds. There is a primitive campsite, which I believe has 12, maybe 13 campsites. Each campsite has their own picnic table, a fire ring, and all that kind of stuff, tent pad. Very, very nice campground. This was $15 a night, so not too bad. It's been pretty cool so far to walk around here. I like the proximity to the waterfront. You know, I'm very close to my campsite. I don't know what the mosquitoes are like in the summer, but I definitely saw a few last night, and it's pretty cool here right now. But I'm only here for the night, so I'm gonna go and get packed up at my campsite, and then we're gonna drive back up to the visitor center. There is a boardwalk trail that I'd like to take. It takes you through this little kind of swampy woodland area. So I'm excited to do that, so let's go. I also wanted to point out that if you are a fan of Spanish moss, this park definitely has that, which is pretty cool. It's all over the trees here. I know it's kind of killing the trees, but it's very, very beautiful to look at and take pictures of. So if you're into that kind of stuff, this is a great park to visit. So here is a little drive-through of the second campground that they have here. This is all the electric sites. So a lot of people with RVs obviously come up here. It's a fairly new campground from what I understand. It's really, really nice. So here are those cabins that I mentioned, and they're just really, really nice. It looks like they all have electric. 2 little chairs out front. I don't know if they have bathrooms in them or not, but really cool looking. I don't know how much they are for a night. I don't know if they have heat or electric or air conditioning in them either, but really cool looking. Well, unfortunately, the visitor center is closed, I guess, for the holidays right now. So there is public restrooms inside those doors. Where's my hand? This is difficult. Right there. There are public restrooms. Those doors are open, so you can use them. And then they have this nice little marker board out here, which kind of gives you a more detailed idea of the park. You can see it's relatively pretty small. It's not super huge, but down here is where I camped last night. Here's the second campground. Where you at? Up here is the second campground. Beach and swimming area is over here. Where I hiked was up and around there. So there's a lot to do. There's also free maps that you can grab there. So, and then right back here is a trail that takes you to the boardwalk. Wetlands. So quiet out here. Pretty incredible. But anyway, this boardwalk does have a name. This is called the Palmetto Boardwalk that the park has named. And the reason for that is because once you get to a certain point, you start to see these dwarf palmettos, or I've always called them fan palms, but you can see there's a few here, a couple back in there. There's a little plaque here. I don't know if I can, it's pretty far away, but it kind of tells you what it is, and there's another one there. But I didn't know this, but they produce a fruit, and when this fruit ripens in the fall, it's eaten by robins and crows and I guess other different birds and raccoons. I'm a little bit bummed that I haven't seen more animals. I've seen a lot of squirrels. Squirrels are everywhere here, but I really was hoping to see, I did see a couple turtles yesterday, but other than that, I haven't really seen too much other wildlife. A few birds here and there, but you know, I was expecting, you know, some great herons and some bigger birds, and nothing. So I don't know if it's just that time of year where maybe everybody's migrating south, or everybody's sleeping or what, but I'm still gonna keep my eye out. So pretty cool, right? I like that little trail. About half a mile one way, you know, half a mile back. So now I'm kind of finished here at the park, and now I'm headed to about 10 miles down the road, and I'm going to go explore the oldest incorporated town in North Carolina. It's called Bath, North Carolina. So I'll meet you down there. Okay, well, I am here in Bath, North Carolina, and I'm just realizing that this sign is probably backwards, but that's okay. This is the first incorporated town in North Carolina. It was founded in 1705, nearly 70 years before the Declaration of Independence was signed. And some of the oldest buildings in the state are located in this town. The state's oldest church, the state's oldest library. There's an old post office here. There's a ton of history here. It's not a big town. It's really just this crossroads here. And then a couple little side streets, but it's pretty incredible, the infrastructure here. This is another old house that's been turned into a historic site. There's another one behind me here. There's a ton of these little here, I'll flip it around. Hopefully you can see it, but there's a bunch of these little signs kind of dotted everywhere. But there's another reason why this town is pretty popular, actually pretty famous, is because of a man named Edward Teach. If anybody has ever heard of that name before, you're probably familiar with who that person was. If you've ever watched Pirates of the Caribbean, you probably also know who that person was. But I'm talking about the infamous pirate Blackbeard. And he made Bath one of his kind of onshore bases, if you would like to call it that, during his time that he was at sea and pirating different places. So I'm going to go learn a little bit more about him. So here's one of those little plaques I was talking about Edward Teach, notorious pirate called Blackbeard. Lived in Bath while Charles Eden was governor. Killed at Ocracoke in 1718. So this definitely wasn't his full-time home. I'm assuming that was just during the time period when this specific governor was governor of the state. So pretty cool to know that he kind of walked around here and lived here for a little bit. I don't really know much about him other than the fact that he was a pirate, but I can definitely see why he chose here to live. pretty cool. Again, there's not a whole lot to really see here. There's a couple older buildings that are original, but you know, it's still pretty residential. There's a nice marina. There's a couple, I think there's one restaurant actually. But again, it's just kind of like a crossroads. You know, how it, the bustling town that it would have been at one time is long gone. So yeah, it's pretty cool to be in the oldest incorporated town in North Carolina. And now I'm headed to the second oldest incorporated town in North Carolina, and that is New Bern, North Carolina. But not for the reason because it's so old. There's another reason there that I want to show everybody. So let's go. Okay, well, I made it to New Bern, and just like you saw, this is the birthplace of Pepsi. I have been here before. This isn't my first time. I was here back in, oh, I don't know, February. And, you know, I was close by, and I don't remember doing a video about New Bern. I just kind of came and took some pictures last time I was here, so it would be a cool idea to show you around. New Bern's actually a pretty cool little town. It has a ton of, you know, little shops and restaurants that you can visit. It has the Pepsi birthplace. There's like a small little museum in there, and then there's so I guess at one point it used to be a drugstore slash pharmacy place, and the drink was created there for patrons, and ever since then it's, you know, it's been Pepsi. There is a waterfront as well. There's a small little park with a gazebo that takes you out there, and that's another great place to explore. There's also another place called Tryon Palace. I think I'm saying that right. At one time, New Bern was the capital of North Carolina. So that part of the town has like a lot of old government buildings and, you know, building structures that they would have used for local and state governments. So that's pretty cool to explore. That's closed today because today is New Year's Day. So I was surprised that the Pepsi place was open. So there's definitely a lot of things to do here in New Bern. I definitely recommend, if you've never been here before, give it a shot. It's not too far from, it's kind of smack dab in the middle of the state along the coast. But there's definitely a lot of pretty cool history here in this part of coastal North Carolina. I hope everybody enjoyed this little tour. But now I'm getting ready to head to the beaches. So stick around for part 2, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.